Welcome back to Box Office Maniacs, and I wanted to make a video about what my wife got me for my birthday this year. Now, as you can see, what it is already is a Lego Star Wars Slave One. Now, this thing is huge. These are known as UCSs, which means Ultimate Collector's Series. Now, this thing, even though you can see how big this box is on here, the build, I've seen it built before in the Lego store. This thing is massive. And there's 3 of these out right now. There's the Slave One, there's a TIE Fighter, and there's a Snowspeeder. So you might be asking yourself, why am I talking about a Lego set on Box Office Maniacs? Well, one, it's over here. It's Star Wars, as you can see right here. And it's Slave One. And it's awesome. I do have another channel here, which I'd hardly ever talk about on here, but it's called It Figures, where I review nothing but action figures, like Rick from Rick and Morty, and I got like Supergirl over there, and I got some pop figures like Pinhead, and these are just the ones that are sitting on my desk here. But I did review a Lego over there of Wall-E, and while I did Wall-E, I did talk about my Lego collecting over there for a little bit, so I thought maybe I could bring it over here on this channel for those who never saw it, and also talk about my addiction to collecting Legos. As you see in the Slave One there, that's my first Ultimate Collector series that I've had from the Star Wars ships. Now, I had just recently, maybe about a month or so ago, bought the Imperial Shuttle because it's one of my favorite ships from Star Wars. But it was not an Ultimate Collector series. It was one of the smaller ships, It was still like $100, but it was one of those ones you could just go to Toys R Us or go to Walmart and whatever and buy those. And I had a blast putting the thing together. It was so much fun, but it wasn't like crazy detailed like these are. But it was a really cool ship. So for those who have not watched the stop motion video on here that I did with me and Vince, this is something that I was planning on doing a lot of. However, it's really time consuming and it takes a long time. And even though that was only 3 minutes long, it took me weeks to do that. And I'm still trying to perfect my stop motion animation on that. So hopefully, maybe even this week, I'm going to try to put together a new stop motion little adventure between me and Vince and Lego World. And I was also planning on making a sequel to The Killman. So that is really where my addiction began, was that. I thought, okay, well, maybe I can actually make a Lego town and make it a real Lego world in this new Killman movie. So I started looking into it. I used to collect Legos like crazy. Every Christmas, my parents would get me the big Lego castle, like big castle set. And that was my Christmas. That's what I would build the entire day and just love all these Lego castle sets I had. So when I made the first Killman all those years ago, I have all these Legos laying around, and I just basically built my own sets, and I did whatever, and I created the movie, the stop-motion film of the Killman. And I hadn't collected Legos since then, and that's been, probably 10, 15 years ago since I stopped collecting, even longer than that probably, since I stopped collecting Legos. And I started getting back into it with, I seen they had the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. I ended up getting that for Christmas. I asked my wife to get it for me, and man, I had such a blast putting that thing together. It was so fun. And then from there, it went to the Ecto-1, and then, like I said, I started thinking, man, I need a couple buildings for my new movie, so I bought a sandwich shop. And while that was kind of cool, I started looking into this. They have what is called a Creator Series. And basically what a Creator Series is part of the Lego brand, and it's for adults. It's not like a kid's building set that you would buy for $20 at Walmart. These things are very complicated and highly detailed, like ridiculous detail. And they're basically buildings that you build, and you can build one and another and connect them all together, and literally you will have an entire Lego city, which is what I have now. I'm not really going to show it to you guys because I'm keeping it for, the stop motion stuff that I've been doing and eventually the Killman sequel that I'm going to make. So I really don't want to spoil all the stuff that I have to show it to you. So I started with that, and then I ended up getting, believe it or not, somehow I went from the Ecto-1 to getting the Firehouse from Ghostbusters, one of the most expensive Lego sets there is. And when you say expensive Lego sets, I'm talking expensive Lego sets. Again, this is for adult collectors, not for kids. And the Firehouse was around $350 is how much I paid for the thing. And I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it did take me months and months and months to put together. And the detail inside of the Firehouse is incredible. I mean, the whole thing opens up, and you even have like a kitchen there with a coffee maker and the table, and you have Tupperware sitting there on the counter, and it has a refrigerator that opens up, has lamps with light bulbs, and I mean, has a pool table with the balls on. I mean, it's just a ridiculous amount of detail, and it's so incredible. And that was pretty much what did it for me, was that. And I was like, well, what else am I ever going to do to top that? And then I found the Creator Series of the buildings. And the first one I believe that I bought was the Parisian Restaurant. It was a set that I needed for the Killman movie. And when I started putting that thing together, it's like the kitchen has a sink. And it has an actual pipe that's coming out of the bottom of the sink into a grate in the ground. That's how detailed these sets are. I mean, they're crazy. And that's why I love putting these together. There's so much fun and there's so much detail in everything. And as big as a Star Wars fan as I am, I really don't have that many Star Wars sets. I mostly started collecting buildings and architecture and things like that. I have a couple cars, but nothing really spaceship related. I don't really have any of the big spaceships. So I'm hoping this is going to be the first one out of the many that I'm going to be getting from this collector series. I really like the TIE Fighter. The TIE Fighter is big. And when I say the big, I mean they're big, like they're bigger than the screen. Snowspeeder is one of my favorite ships in the Star Wars universe, so I'll probably get all of them. But again, this here that I just showed you, that was a $200 set. And you might be like, oh man, well, that's ridiculous, I can't spend that much. But again, you know, it's a hobby. And it's relaxing. I like coming down into my basement, turning some music on, and sitting down and just putting these Legos together, and it's calming. If you have a really stressful day, you know, and you're stressed out, and it's like a calming effect. You just go and you start start creating this stuff, and it's great. It's such a great feeling. And for those who are out there who are like, well, I've always kind of wanted to collect Legos, but I feel kind of funny walking into Toys R Us to buy a Lego set for myself. Don't be. Who cares? Who cares what other people think? If you want to do it, absolutely go there and buy any Lego set that you want. If you want to start with the smaller stuff like the Mystery Machine or the Ecto-1, like I did, and then graduate to the 400,000 piece, whatever it was, however many pieces it was for the Firehouse, go for it. If it makes you happy, if you enjoy it, don't let other people say, oh, well, those are for kids. My kids play with that stuff. Why are you playing with that? Ignore all those people. Who cares about them? If you enjoy it, just do it. And since I started collecting, the one thing about Legos is it snowballs. Again, you start with the smaller sets. Well, I'm never going to spend $300 on a Firehouse. That's crazy. You know what I could buy? Well, then you get the Firehouse. And then my wife and I had our 20th anniversary. And when we got married, we moved to Florida and worked for Disney World. Like the day after we got married, we went down to Florida and started working for Disney World. I don't work there anymore, but I told her, for our 20th anniversary, we really need to do something special. So we went out and bought the Disney Castle, the Lego Disney Castle, which again cost the same amount as the Firehouse did, because these things are huge. They're gigantic sets. They're not a little thing that we spent like a month putting this thing together, and that's the first time I really put anything together with anybody else, and I enjoyed it. It was fun having an interaction. I didn't think I would like putting sets together with somebody else, but it is fun. I really, really liked it. And since then, we put several sets together, and it's just a great activity to do with two other people if you don't want to do it by yourself. So my ramble here is basically I'm telling you is that Legos aren't just for kids. They do make adult Lego sets. And if you're interested in it, look into it. If you're looking into getting a hobby, or if you're sitting around and you don't have nothing to do all day or whatever, and you want to get into doing something, Legos is a great thing to do. And the other thing that they do now, they sell lighting kits for all this. So you can get a lighting kit for the firehouse that lights up the lights on the outside and lights up all the lamps on the inside of the building. So for the town you're building, you can actually get a light for the street lights out there on the sidewalk. And I mean, the details in these sets are incredible, and it really brings it to life. So far, the only lighting set that I have is I bought a house, and I don't really want to talk about it right now because it's going to be in the movie and we might use it for something else. But it was a special build that I got. Most expensive thing I ever spent ever on Legos. Hopefully ever will spend on Legos, because it was a retired set that I really wanted, and it lights up, and the lighting set was only $10. The thing is, lighting sets for some of these are more expensive than the sets themselves. So you got to shop around and kind of see what's the best deal out there for these lighting sets. The reason I went with the Slave One here between the other two is I figured this is the biggest bang for my buck. It has the most pieces out of the TIE Fighter and the Snowspeeder. This has the most pieces. And of course I love the ship too. I mean, come on, it's the Slave One. So let me know, do you guys collect Legos? Are you got any big Lego collectors out there? If there's any sets you want me to review on this channel, let me know. I might have one of the sets, and I'll try to review it if it's something that I'm not going to be using for, in the future for my stop motion stuff. But even if it is, I might still just review it for you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I just thought it'd be something a little bit different for the channel. Show you some behind the scenes stuff that I enjoy doing when I'm not, watching movies or doing these reviews. And that's what I do. I love Legos. I love putting them together. I love everything about them. And I started collecting minifigures too. And that's the other thing is like I said, it starts snowballing, and then you're like, oh wow. And they actually release minifigures every year. They have I don't know how many they release, 20 new minifigures, and they're in a blind bag. So you're up there at Toys R Us, and you're sitting there you're sitting there feeling the bag and trying to figure out what, and it's kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to buy 10 blind bags, and then end up with the 10 same figures. If you're going to be buying Legos, what is your first set that you're going to be building? I'd love to hear from you. Because again, this is a big part of what I do, and I absolutely love it. So hopefully you guys love this review, and if you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I will eventually get this review of the Slave One up here on the site, and I don't know when, maybe this month, maybe this week, because I'm off all week. I'm on vacation this week, so it's the first time I've been on vacation for my actual job in 8 months. So I am going to take advantage of that. And hopefully not even sleep this week. I'm going to try to stay up as much as I can and get as much as I can get done. So you guys are going to be getting a lot of reviews and talking and rambling and stuff like that this week, because I'm planning on doing quite a lot of it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss anything from us on Box Office Maniacs.